Hello everyone. Today I'm going to explain CCIE LAB requirement 1.3 to you. In the last class, we already covered requirement 1 and fixed the aggregated interface and link aggregation. Now there's another requirement related to spanning tree. Let's configure the spanning tree according to the following requirements. However, it doesn't specify which type of spanning tree we need to use, right? So based on these requirements, we have to make our own judgment. It says that the spanning tree must support per VLAN independent instances. That is, each VLAN has its own independent instance. Now, we know that the traditional spanning tree 802.1d only has a single instance, right? Then, in addition, there's also PBST. It supports per VLAN, meaning that so it's possible that we need to use this. Also, Cisco has its own proprietary protocol, which also supports this. Per VLAN spanning tree. Now, let's look at the next requirement, which is that it must support 3 spanning tree states. As for 802.1d, it actually has 5 states, right? And PBST can support 3 states, as can RSTP. They can also support 3 states. Now, let's look at the next point. This one. Well, actually, this particular point right here, both of these support 3 states, right? They both meet the requirements of the question. So actually, you can use either one. The next requirement is that all interfaces facing end devices interfaces facing end devices must bypass the spanning tree forwarding delay. To bypass the spanning tree forwarding delay, we need to configure what's called a fast interface. Configuring this well, for the interface, this skips what exactly? It skips the listing and learning states, right? It goes straight into the forwarding state. That meets the requirements of the question, right? For a fast interface, we configure RSTP and then add the interface, right? Next, SW100 and 1 needs to become the root bridge. The root bridge for this network. Then 102 becomes the secondary route, the backup, right? The secondary route. This is also very simple, just need to set its priority to 0 and set the other one to 4096. 4096. That's it, right? The priority can only be set to 0 or a multiple of 4096, so we'll set it to the lowest. The question requires us to use the lowest value as the priority, right? So 0 and 4096 meet the requirements of the question. And then he says that if 100 and 1 and 102 must ignore BPDUs from other switches in the headquarters. In other words, the receiving ports just don't forward them. So for this, we need to configure root guard. Root guard. Right. This is to prevent receiving a superior BPDU and avoid having the root bridge role taken over by another switch, right? To prevent the root bridge from being preempted. So we just need to configure root guard here. Let me show you how to do it. This is also very simple. Earlier, we've already finished configuring Ethernet, so there's no need to do that again. Now we just need to configure spanning tree. For the spanning tree mode, set it to, you can use rapid spanning tree, or you can use, just configure rapid spanning tree protocol. Then for trunk ports, allow VLAN 1 and the VLAN 2000 up to 2001. Then set its priority to 0 so that it becomes a root for both VLAN 1, the default VLAN, and also for the service VLANs 2000 and 2001. Root bridge, right? With the highest priority, it becomes the root bridge. Then configure edge ports and enable rapid port. That's it. Right? Just these 3 commands and you're done. right? Then this is called aggregate link, right? Aggregate interface. So we need to, this interface, matchmaker enters this interface and starts the generation technique. This, if he did it, the configuration command is written in reverse like this. In fact, this is called, that is ours. This interface, and this interfaces, right? Actually, these two don't need it. Just enable it on the two aggregate interfaces facing the terminals. This root guard is to prevent other switches from sending a better, right? Right. So I just ignore the superior BPDU it sends. Okay, then this one. As for 102, the configuration is the same here. I'll give him this configuration. Let me scroll up so everyone can see it a bit more clearly. On the 102 side, what did I configure for? Priority 4096, which means it's the secondary route. Just these 3 lines of configuration, nothing more for the secondary route. Right? And then its portable interface is R. To 444, please. Okay, that's all you need to do. Right? And actually, there's another device, which is this access aggregation. The access aggregation is this 100, and one up here. It will also 110. 110, really. Welcome. Okay. All right. The uplink also needs to be configured. 120 -1. No, not this one. It needs to enable policy. It needs to enable this root guard. All right. After you enable the feature, there will be a warning here. Don't worry about it. That's normal. With this, the requirement is fulfilled. This requirement is actually quite simple. If anyone wants to learn Cisco technologies or get guidance for the Cisco Live exam, please contact me or leave a comment below the video for technical discussions.